Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all fandoms, welcome to the Ferret Raccoon podcast, episode 82. I am Ace, and I'm solo for today's podcast. Raccoon is on a much-needed vacation, which I'm sure he'll be talking about when he's on the next episode. I was unable to get in contact with Ferret, but he's a busy man, so that is completely understandable. And I had asked a few other people who haven't been on the podcast before if they'd like to be involved, but they were all unfortunately busy. So today is a special, it's official, it's the Ace Power Hour, and it's just all me. So you can enjoy that, because I know I will. And that sounded a bit dirtier than I thought it would. So I'm just going to move ahead and just talk about the last 2 weeks. Bit of stuff's happened. It's mostly been just not really the stuff I'm too into. It's very sportish, which, if you know anything about me, I don't really care much about sports. But the Super Bowl happened, local sports team fought against local sports team, and local sports team won. I literally can't remember who it was. I know the people's team who won, they celebrated by, starting a bonfire in the middle of a street, and I found that really confusing because usually people start fires when their team lost. But I don't know, it's America. Everything's weird there. But the important part of the Super Bowl was there were a whole bunch of trailers, and I'm just going to talk about some of the ones that interested me. There were a few near the end that I was just like, no, I don't care. Kind of a funny one, but again, just not too interesting. First one being Avengers Infinity War, which it's not really showing anything new. It just looks interesting to me. I'm probably the only person on this podcast who's that interested in it. So I'm just going to move straight ahead onto Solo: A Star Wars Story. It's finally got a trailer, which, considering it's coming out in about 2 months, you'd expect it would be out a lot sooner. But we get to see, a little bit of it. It looks kind of bland, bit forgettable. The only really interesting thing is some of the technology and setting of Star Wars, which I'm always fascinated by. But that can just be fulfilled from a art book. So actually needing to see the film isn't really a big priority. Although, Childish Gambino looks bloody amazing, and he's probably the only reason to watch this film, because that lead actor is pretty terrible. I think we talked about this on the podcast before, that they had to hire an acting coach whilst filming, and that just sounds pretty terrible to me. And from the trailer, I can kind of tell why. He's a bit flat with everything he says. The next trailer, which I'm not a fan of too much, being Mission Impossible. I never really cared about the series, even the first one, which everyone loves. I really don't care. It's Tom Cruise. He barely interests me in anything other than Interview with Vampire. But the trailer for Mission Impossible Fallout, and I'm presuming that Raccoon actually sent this to me because it's got the star of last year being Henry Cavill's moustache, and probably one of the biggest reasons that Justice League had to have so much reshooting. It's shocking, really. It's not even that it could have been a fake moustache in this film, and instead they were just like, no, you're going to have to digitally replace it in your own. Other than the moustache, I don't think this is notable at all, really. So I'm going to be moving straight on to Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, which, if you've listened to the commentary that we have on our channel for Jurassic World, me and Raccoon are not fans much of the sequel, I guess, Jurassic World. It plays too much on nostalgia in the worst possible way, and there's very little interesting about it. This trailer, same basic stuff. You're probably just going to watch it for the dinosaurs. I don't care about the characters. I'm probably not going to see the film. The only possible interesting thing is if they have the really stupid looking human dino, genetically engineered things that were in concept art. But other than that, no. Also, I did want to say, before I move on to something else, I'm getting really tired of iconic themes. So like the Jurassic Park theme or even stuff in Star Wars, just being constantly reused, it really diminishes the effect of the song. Can they not do new stuff? I mean, that's why I think why so many people really like Duel of Fates in The Phantom Menace, because it was a new thing. If you just keep reusing the old and you're not even using it in a way that works, it's a lack of creativity. It's just not showing... I'm trying to think of the right word here. Not showing respect for what's came before. You're beating a dead horse, basically. For the next thing, it's Westworld Season 2. I watched the first series, which I did enjoy. I don't think it managed to sustain itself, but it's mostly because a lot of what it was trying to do, I'd already seen in stuff like Blade Runner. You know, it's the replicants, whether they have human emotion, etc. A lot of things have done it before. It did it, it was okay. But this season looks like it's going to do something that I've wanted one of these things to do before, and it's to actually show them revolt, have a revolution against whatever oppressive system. It was something I actually expected in Blade Runner 2049, which didn't happen, or any of the possible sequels that film would have had, because Ridley Scott's a producer on it, and he probably signed up for like 5 sequels like he does with almost everything, which I wouldn't be surprised, but I think that's the main reason I'm interested in Westworld Season 2. Robot Revolution. I'm on their side. Next film trailer being Cloverfield Paradox, which nobody really expected. It kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, the marketing for the Cloverfield films have always been interesting. There was the whole hype mystery campaign for the original, 10 Cloverfield Lane. I think the trailer just came out a few months before it was in cinema. And this one, it literally came out, and then after the Super Bowl, films on Netflix. Pretty genius. And I did watch Cloverfield Paradox because I was very interested in the film, just because of that. I also think the previous Cloverfield films are interesting. First one, it's a very kind of 9/11 film. I know that's going to sound weird, but it's almost like America's Godzilla in a way. I'd have to go into a lot of detail on this, which possibly might do on this channel at some point. Something to do with Cloverfield, I'm not too sure. 10 Cloverfield Lane, which everyone really enjoyed, including me, except for the last 10 minutes-ish, because, you know, they just tacked on Cloverfield. And that's kind of what they did with Cloverfield Paradox. They tacked on Cloverfield to something completely unrelated. However, unlike 10 Cloverfield Lane, this was kind of a garbage film in general. It's nothing interesting, really. I kind of forgot almost everything about it as soon as the film was over, which is never a good sign. The most memorable thing in it is that Chris O'Dowd has a sentient hand, and there's a woman trapped in the wall, you know? Evolution of the boy in the wall, I guess. But, yeah. Good marketing strategy, not a good film. Hopefully better next time. But moving on from the Super Bowl onto more sports, being the Winter Olympics, which has been happening from, I believe it's the 9th of February, and it's still continuing now until the 25th. I haven't been paying much attention to the Olympics because, again, I'm just not a sport person. But every once in a while, a little thing will catch my attention, just enough so that I'll discuss it a little bit. That's basically it. I'll be like, oh, that was a cool thing, or that's pretty neat. Maybe retweet it or something. But the most interesting things that I saw happen at the Winter Olympics was that there was Japanese figure skaters who they did a performance to a song from Yuri on Ice, which not only is that a cool thing, it's kind of making anime a little bit more mainstream because the announcers actually had to talk about an anime. It's a pretty intriguing thing. I actually haven't watched the performance myself, which I know I probably should have, but again, sports, and I haven't actually watched Yuri on Ice properly. I've only seen a few clips, so I don't think I'm the best person to talk about that. But one of the things I thought was pretty fascinating about the Winter Olympics was Chloe Kim, the US athlete, the 17-year-old snowboarder, and she tweets when she's competing at the Olympics, and it's just an amusing thing. It's the cliche millennial thing, tweeting during everything. I mean, is she a millennial? Millennial would be like born in 2001. I don't know if that's like a new thing or not. It's just the cliche thing, tweeting during everything, constantly on your phone. But the fact is that despite doing this, she is magnificent as an athlete. She actually won the gold while performing, and she actually had an amazing tweet during that competition, which I'm just going to read out now. So, whilst actually whilst racing snowboarding, she tweeted this: "Wish I had finished my breakfast sandwich, but my stubborn self decided not to, and now I'm getting angry." I mean, you'd think while you're competing, you'd probably have something else you'd be thinking about, but no, stomach, it's everyone's main important focus. That's really all I have for the Winter Olympics. So there was a lot of funny little stories, but I don't think they're all really worth mentioning. You'll probably see them already. People are spreading them out, and just have fun with it. I hope everyone has fun at the Olympics. Next, I'm going to be talking about Black Panther, which came out recently, and I managed to go see it. I did enjoy it. I'm going to say it's kind of mixed to good. It's a long thing to talk about, and I'm not going to talk about it all. But first of all, interesting thing happened at the cinema. Essentially, we had bought tickets for it. When we got there, we were very confused about the seats, and it turns out we just got VIP seats somehow. So I was sitting in the land of luxury whilst watching this film, and it was so damn comfortable. I absolutely loved it. And the cinema itself was packed, so I'm glad I had the leg space, because I have really long legs and it can get uncomfortable when I'm watching a film in a cinema. But onto the actual film. First of all, I want to say that Michael B. Jordan was fantastic as Eric Killmonger. Probably one of the best villains in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, alongside people like the Purple Man, Loki, and Kingpin. I also really liked Cottonmouth from Luke Cage, but he's pretty exceptional in that, again, he's one of the ones where you can truly see where he's coming from. He has a point, even if it's not completely there, to the point where calling him a villain, it's very grey. You're not really sure. He was just fantastic throughout the whole film. The star of the film, to me, though, was Letitia Wright as Shuri, which is Black Panther's sister. And she was brilliant. She was funny. Probably the funniest thing I've seen in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Had a very natural charisma, natural humour to her. I have actually seen her before in Black Mirror Season 4, episode Black Museum. And she was great in that as well. But she was a standout in this film, and I've seen a lot of love for her because of her performance, which is great, and just perfect. This is the person who I'm going to be talking about them quite a lot, probably in the future. Get more performance. I think she's going to be in Ready Player One. Hopefully she'll be good in that, because not anything's looking good in that. Also, Andy Serkis, he was great in this. I can't remember much of him in Age of Ultron. I don't think anyone really can, 'cause some bits in that film are a bit forgettable. It's not the best. He was amazing in this. A mixture of cultural thief, in a way, which just works perfectly for some of the themes that this film's going for. And the film just in general has some very complicated thematic points that it's going through, and I think it does them pretty well. I'm not going to say it's perfect in that way. There's still a bit of issues there, stuff like the monarchy, which it gets a mild criticism, and it does criticize the conservative nature of Wakanda hiding itself, specifically how the story envelops. But without going through spoilers or anything, I would say it's good. First half, bit messy, not paced that well. The best things in the first half are going to be Michael B. Jordan, Andy Serkis, and Letitia Wright. But Second half, really good. Action, again, very much like Spider-Man Homecoming. It's a bit hard to see things. Very messy in that way. I would recommend it. I've seen a lot of people loving this film. I think I've seen a lot of people liking it more than I have. Yeah, people like it, go ahead, fine. Just, if people do have valid criticisms, don't attack them for it. I don't mean in the stupid way that people on the alt-right have been saying that people have been getting attacked at Black Panther viewings, because those people are fucking liars, so don't listen to them. Just, don't attack their idea, I guess. Well, you can attack the alt-right's ideas. This guy's fucking stupid. Next, we got trailers, and there is a lot of trailers. It's kind of been one of the main things going on recently, I guess. We're out of January. Fuck you, it's January's over. So, the first trailer being I Kill Giants, and when I was watching this, all I could think of is a film called A Monster Calls, where a kid has an imaginary giant monster and it's all a metaphor, and I feel like I've already seen every beat in this film just from the trailer and from previous films. I don't have much to say about it other than that. If it's very different to that, then I will be surprised. Completely surprised. Because it looks like the whole thing's going to be the twist of it's all in her head, it's all a metaphor. And that's it. I would say the character's name Thorson is pretty cool, yeah. But Norse names are interesting to me. Next we get the trailer for Deadpool Meet Cable. That was the name of the trailer. The film's just Deadpool 2. Starts off with, very gritty Cable speech and the green CGI arm. Then fourth wall break from Deadpool where he's playing toys, very Toy Story. It's quite entertaining. Deadpool 2 still looks like it's going to be fun, very similar in tone to the first Deadpool. I'm still not biting the fourth wall breaks that much. They sometimes feel like they're trying way too hard, and I've seen fourth wall breaks done better in a lot of comedies, but I still think I'm going to enjoy this film. It'll be a fun romp. And the best character is returning, being the taxi driver. He was brilliant. Next trailer being Venom, and I'm glad I'm talking about this, because I think everyone else who's usually on the podcast would probably shit on this film completely. And I'm not. I'm still interested in this, because I find the character of Venom interesting. It's obviously very much the dark side of Spider-Man, but it's always had bits of addiction and obviously the Jekyll-Hyde part of it. That's what's interested me the most. And it looks like it's going to do that kind of thing with this film. I'm assuming they're going to cross some of the Eddie Brock and Flash Thompson Venom stuff, because Eddie Brock on his own kind of works really just as an anti-Peter Parker in that way. Whereas Flash Thompson, he had the whole Agent Venom soldier stuff, which I feel like they're going to go for. One of the things they didn't show in this teaser trailer was the Venom suit, which a lot of people seem to be annoyed by. I'm fine, it's just the teaser trailer. They'll probably show it on some sort of official trailer 1 or trailer 2, which everyone's gonna, break down your bloody arrows in the thumbnail, saying, look what you missed, because people are blind, apparently. Either way, I'm interested in Venom. There's not really much to go on, just speculation, really. Tom Hardy, I'm sure he'll be good. And next, The Incredibles 2, which film I've been waiting for since I was a child. I love the original Incredibles. I only have a few issues with that film, and that's more that how it ends is that they beat the bad guy without government oversight, whereas at the start, government oversight and red tape is seen as an issue and restrictive, and I always find that a weird message. A lot of people have very much compare that to libertarianism, which is stupid, because, the bad guy, he's literally billionaire. But this film, they seem to address that, literally taking place after the first one, where they take on the Underminer, and then from how the trailer is shown, I'm assuming after that, there's probably some sort of interest in superheroes again. It seems like Mr. Incredible's literally saying how superheroes are illegal, so they are addressing that point I have of the whole oversight thing, and there's corporate interest in turning Elastigirl back into let's say a sponsored hero, whilst Mr. Incredible is taking care of Jack. So you got a whole homeowner dad, got breadwinner mum, and it seems interesting. It's a good twist on that, because before it was always, in the first one, it was Helen Parr with the kids all the time, and Mr. Incredible off on his own. So switching it around in a good way there. Although I do hope that it doesn't turn out that the corporation that's sponsoring her is good people and that she can do this because they somehow managed to make the law work for superheroes again. I hope it's not the corporates that do that, because that's not good. That's very libertarian in its nature, and I hate that. So, hopefully the film will be good and not go down that hole that I would hate it for. Because I do like The Incredibles. It's a very fun and inventive Disney Pixar film, and just hope it's a good sequel. So far, a lot of the Disney-ish sequels haven't been that good to me. Didn't care about Finding Dory. Monsters University had a few good moments, and that's really it. Oh wait, yeah, Toy Story 3, I like Toy Story 2. Didn't like Toy Story 3. A lot of people love it, I don't care for it much. But that's really it for the podcast. It's probably a short one, not even a power hour actually. More like a half-hour power hour. The Ace Power half hour. For the video of the episode, it is Kendrick Lamar and SCA, All the Stars, the song that's part of the Black Panther soundtrack, and it was made specifically for the film, which I really enjoyed. It came on during the credits during the film. Really good end to the experience itself, and a very visually interesting music video, taking on a lot of the Afrofuturist imagery of Black Panther, which is really strong, really good to watch. I highly recommend this video. And that's it for today's episode. If you want to message anyone on the podcast about anything in this episode, please message us at raccoonplusfriends@gmail.com, or you can message me at Ace Enigma on Twitter. It's capital ACE, capital ENIGMA. And we'll be seeing you next time. I was Ace, the solo power half hour man.